I'm a watercolor painter based in Melbourne. I have been creating this children's book story, Mr. Otter and his friend, since last year, and I had a wonderful time creating each illustration. In this video, I want to show you how I draw Mr. Otter. You will see my entire progress on how I created this illustration, from how to design the character, how I color it, and how to use complementary colors to create shades. I hope you're enjoying this video. Now let's see how I bring Mr. Otter to life. The image that I had in mind is that Mr. Otter is holding a branch of sunflower. Before I actually started the drawing, I would use another paper to do a couple of sketches to get a better idea on how I want it to be. I drew a little box first, so I know roughly how to arrange the drawing in the paper that I'm actually going to work on later. I will need to decide where the sunflower is going to be, how is Mr. Otter holding it, what is Mr. Otter's posture. After a few sketches, I decided that the sunflower is going to be on his right side and he's holding it on his left hand with him standing. When I'm working on a new piece, I will have some reference on hand because I want to keep it consistent. It is very important if you are creating a story of your own, you need to make sure that the character stays the same. However, if you are just having a little bit of fun with drawing, then it is fine. Since I just did a couple of quick sketches, I knew where everything is supposed to be. The sunflower is on the top of Mr. Otter, so I should draw it first, or it may not fit in the paper at the end. Then I will roughly draw the entire silhouette of the character first, ignore the detail at this point. Mr. Otter has a very simple body shape. He actually looks like a sweet potato. He has no neck, so his head is directly connected to his body. Once I have a rough outline of Mr. Otter, I can now start filling the details. I will refer to a previous image to make sure that the details are the same, like how does his shirt like? Is the pocket on the right side or on the left side? Or how does his hat look like, and etc. Now, we have the sketch ready. Let's start with coloring. First, I will start with his face and body. I mixed some brown and a little bit of blue to make a darker brown. Test your color on another piece of paper first. It not only gives you the chance to see what the color actually looks like on the paper, so you can adjust it. Also, you can get rid of excessive water from your brush this way. I left his cheek blank since I want to add a very bright pink later. Watercolor is transparent, so it cannot entirely cover the color beneath it. Therefore, when you work with watercolor, it is better to paint from the light to the dark. Before his face is dry, I added a darker color on the edge of his face. This way, I can blend the two colors well without leaving the sharp edges. When we are waiting for the body to dry, we can paint the sunflower first. I'm out of my darker yellow here, so I just used this lemon yellow and mix it with some orange. When you're coloring, try to use 2 or 3 similar colors but different color. Like I'm using yellow and orange, and sometimes I use more water and sometimes less. It will make the painting looks more organic and more interesting. You can blend different colors while it's still wet. It's called the wet on wet technique. Now the body parts are dry. We can start with the shirt. The color is bluish green, so I mixed it with some light green and a little bit of light blue. His pants are this coral pink color. I used some orange and a little bit of green to dim it down and use a little bit of white too. When I created this character, I was not thinking much. So I think subconsciously I used my favorite colors. Before we move on, I'd like to talk about the brush that I'm using in this video. It's a size number 6 synthetic round brush. Each brand has different size system, so it is not always the same. For example, this brush is size number 2, but it's much bigger than the other one. Another specific way to know the brush size is to use a ruler and measure the brush width. Like this brush is 4 mm. Once the first layer is entirely dry, we can start to add some texture and detail. Mr. Otter is a fluffy animal, so we need to add little strokes all over his body. I use a darker color to paint the hair, but if it is too dark, we can always wash it off with dry brush. When I paint the texture, I hardly cover the entire area. I will leave some spaces so it doesn't look too busy. When I paint, I will always have a paper towel on the side, so I can dry my brush when I need to. Sometimes the movement is pretty fast. I will dab the paper and paint it, dab it and paint it for a couple of times to get the effect that I wanted. If you're still watching these videos, it means that you're somehow enjoying it. Please give me a like and don't forget to subscribe my channel. Leave a comment to tell me how does this video makes you feel, and is there any other tutorial you'd like to watch in the future. I'm looking forward to share more of my watercolor painting progress and behind the scenes with you. When painting the shadow, don't try to mix it with black. Try the complementary color. You can find this color wheel online. Complementary color is the color on the opposite side of the wheel. For example, if the primary color is yellow, then purple is its complementary color. It is quite handy to have this wheel on the side while you paint. Since Mr. Otter's shirt is light green, I mix it with a little bit of red, or any other warm color is fine, really. His pants are coral red, so the shadow is just adding some green or blue or any other cool color. Finally, I would add some very dark color on the edge so it pops up from the white paper. I don't normally use black line first when I paint. I use the darkest color to emphasize the edges at the end. And there it is. Our Mr. Otter is ready to go. In the next video, I will show you how I make it into a sticker. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys soon. Bye!